A majority of the population in the so-called developing countries consists today of children and youth. Young girls between 12 to 24 years of age make up 1/4 of the world population. This means that there are 1.5 billion in this age range, and 1.3 billion of these young people lives in the so-called developing countries. And if we look at it historically, there have never been so many young people in our world. This could be looked in a number of ways. One way would be to look at it as a problem where youth is a dangerous group that should be protected so they don't become criminals and a threat to the national security. Another side would be to look at it as an interesting opportunity on how to use young people as a resource in the decision making and in the labor market. But also to see young people as the country's future and give them resources to influence the society so they can make the world a better place for future generations. Young people who believe in this idea met in a seminar in Accra, the capital of Ghana, to discuss how to find strategies to advocate against decision makers so they understand the potential of youth in every society. The meeting was part of a United Nations project called Tackling Power Together, which is a regional cooperation between 7 countries in Africa. One of the aims of this cooperation is to increase the awareness in society about the power of young people and see them as a resource in poverty reduction strategies. I asked one of the participants at the seminar, Mildred Siabenzu from Zambia, if she thinks that young people are seen as a resource in her country.
When we look at decision-making bodies, there are only a few young people who are taking part in those processes, and yet they constitute the majority of our nation. I'll give an example of our parliament. At the moment, I think we have only 2 young people, and yet there are about 150 members of parliament. So the representation in decision-making bodies is not that much. They are not really very much involved.
Mildred's view on this question was something that many of the participants raised at the seminar. But how can it be possible that young people are neglected when they are the future of every country in this world? 47% of the unemployed people in this world consist of youth, and 515 million of all young people are estimated to live at less than $2 per day. So why do we have this contradiction, where tomorrow leaders are the ones that are affected the most? So which are the main obstacles to change this imbalance in our world? Stephen Gihohi from Kenya had an answer to that.
I think one of the main obstacles is there's no political goodwill. There's a lot of political handles that young people have to go through. As I said, the representation of young people in the key institutions, whether it's in government and also major institutions in the country governance processes, it's quite minimal. So one of the main thing we don't have, as a country, we don't have a national umbrella that coordinates the work of young people. That's the National Youth Council. We're still in the process of developing one, and as I speak now, it's stalled in Parliament, and we don't know for up to how long we are going to wait for this. So I think the lack of political goodwill and also limited resources for youth initiatives, and critically also the resources that are there, the most of the projects that have been brought up, like Kazi kwa Vijana, that means work for young people, is just an ad hoc project that's not anchored on any institution and on any policy framework. So I think we are losing it as a country, and that's a major obstacle.
Stephen addresses some of the obstacles that young people are confronted by: the lack of goodwill from decision makers and a difficulty to mobilize young people. But Mildred Siabenzu had an answer on how to fight these obstacles.
Firstly, different stakeholders, and these are people who are already in decision-making bodies, they need to recognize the potential that young people have and that they can make a difference to the development of the nation. And then secondly, young people themselves, they need to realize the potential that they have within them so that they can influence change or participate in the different processes of our country.
The message was clear from the seminar in Ghana. Decision makers need to see young people as a resource, and the young people themselves need to believe that they can change things in society. So one question that should be raised is what young people and adults could do to change our world in a joint cooperation. No one else can change the society for us, and we need to realize that we are all the present and the future generation. So let's advocate towards the decision makers so they become ready to shake their world by acknowledging the youth potential and open the space for young people to have a greater chance to shape the world so it becomes a better place to live in.